Ever wondered what it would be like to have the ability to play your favorite games without any boundaries? Ever wondered how your friend breaks through the highest levels of every game or beats your scores with ease? He probably didn't want you to know about Action Replay. Within the millions of lines of code that make up your favorite video games, there exist variables and vulnerabilities. With the ability to manipulate the variables, you have ultimate power over anything and everything. Infinite health, infinite lives, all weapons, all items, all characters. You go anywhere, you do anything, and you kill everything. The Action Replay video game enhancer is available for PlayStation, PS2, N64, Game Boy, Dreamcast, and PC platforms. Constant code updates at CODES.STR assure that you'll always have the power to beat the game. We wanted to give you a taste of the Action Replay's ultimate power. Once you see how Action Replay can change your gaming experience for these titles, just imagine what it can do for the rest of your games. In this issue, access the greatest code for THQ's WWF SmackDown 2 and Core Design's Tomb Raider Chronicles. To accompany the release of Tomb Raider Chronicles, we've got hold of a whole host of top Tomb Raider merchandise. The lucky winner of this issue's competition will win everything from a pair of Lara pants to a cool-looking fleece and a copy of the game itself. To be in with a chance of winning, all you have to do is answer this oh-so-simple question. Who plays Lara Croft in the upcoming Tomb Raider movie? A. Dame Thora Hird, B. Nell McAndrew, or C. Angelina Jolie? If you think you know the answer, call the competition line now on 09064 774478 and follow the online instructions. You'll be asked your answer and for your name and address. Lines will close at midnight on Monday the 22nd of January 2001. Winners will be picked at random by our computer and announced in PSi2's March issue. Winner details will also be posted on the Code Junkies website, www.codejunkies.com. If you're passionate about fighting games or like the idea of beating hundreds of people to a squelchy pulp, then Dynasty Warriors 2 is for you. The idea behind this one-player game is pretty simple. You're a warrior, surprisingly enough, and have to guide your men through a number of famous battles in China, indulging in random acts of hand-to-hand combat. Unlike the original Dynasty Warriors on PlayStation, which was a one-on-one fighting game, you now have to do battle with hundreds of enemies. It's not just a game of brawn, skill is also required. You have to stay aware of battle conditions as well as following commands. There are 9 stunning characters to choose from, each of them miraculous in detail. Each character has their own traditional Chinese weapon, with the possibility of adding as many as 28 when each level of the 4 missions is completed. Each character is fairly simple to move. They all have some special moves with their individual weapons, charge moves, and a bow and arrow. There's also a fantastic Musou attack, which rotates you 360 degrees, killing and stunning everyone around you, ideal for when you're surrounded by the enemy. How you perform will also affect the morality of your team. The better you fight, the better they are. Though the game does tend to get a bit repetitive after a while, the graphics are absolutely outstanding. The battle scenes throughout the game certainly don't disappoint and have to be seen to be believed. You can have up to 40 characters on the screen at once, each showing incredible detail. All in all, you can't help feeling this should have been a multiplayer game, so you could get your mates round. Imagine a puppy you don't have to walk or feed and that doesn't make a mess. Rocket is Fisher-Price's new robotic puppy that actually listens and responds only to his owner's voice with lifelike actions, emotions and sounds. Advanced robotic technology creates realistic behavior, from the way Rocket walks, pants and sometimes scratches for fleas, right down to his expressive big blue eyes. Recline, relax, feel, enjoy. Sensorium is the perfect chair to complete the ultimate home entertainment experience. The Equilibrium Collective's Sensorium is a stylish chaise longue with discrete, high-quality audio speakers built in. You can feel the music you're listening to as well as hearing it. The placement and special design of 2 of the Sensorium's 6 speakers creates a pleasant vibration to the body, so you hear and feel the sound all around you. This innovative stereo seat can be connected to your PlayStation or PS2, hi-fi, TV, VCR, DVD player or computer, creating a personal surround sound environment. The sympathetic vibrations provide stress relief for the weary and add an extra sensory dimension for video game players. Samsung Electronics has produced a splash of colour and funky design to the MP3 market with the launch of its new e-hip-hop and new D-Jazz YEP MP3 players. These new YEPs are faster, lighter in weight and have a sleeker look than the previous generation. Hip-hop is available with 32 megabytes or 64 megabytes of built-in flash memory and with either USB or parallel port connection. Each megabyte of memory is equivalent to roughly 1 minute of CD quality music. How do you design a game for the world's greatest console? Kate Henderson visited Video Game Maestro's Midway to check out their fantastic Ready to Rumble Boxing Round 2. Caught up with the company's UK producer Metro Mustafa to see how the game was put together.
I think the PlayStation version just edges over the Dreamcast version in terms of the quality of the PS2 hardware. We were able to essentially bump up the polygon count, the characters look more realistic, the animations are smoother, we've got animations on the rope, lots of special effects, lighting, high quality textures. Ultimately it's an improved version. The characters are actually motion captured. What that essentially entails is that we use our motion capture studio, which is in our parent office in San Diego, and we're able to get real life animations which we then build into a skeleton model, and that's when that model essentially gets turned into a polygon character. We smoothen out the edges, add the textures, and voila. A very small talented team in our San Diego office basically came up with a concept of Ready to Rumble and obviously created the sequel. There are a few characters in the game that are based on real live celebrities and people. As an example, Afro Thunder, he's well, my favourite in the game, and he's basically a real character, he's a real person, and he actually works in Midway. He actually approached us and he wanted to, participate, if you like, in the sequel of Ready to Rumble. And so we got together and collaborated with Michael, and he came into our motion capture studio and did all his moves, and we created a unique feel for his character. Essentially, the team got real boxes into the development community. We're asking questions, getting some feelers out, getting an idea of what we wanted to create, and essentially the theme of what we're trying to do with R2R2 was to create an arcade, immediately accessible, fun, impactful game. I think the PlayStation 1 still has a market. Admittedly, the PlayStation 2 is the next generation machine for Sony, and it will take precedence both for Sony themselves and indeed for developers alike. But I think there's still a market for the PlayStation 1 to succeed. We'll obviously look to improve on areas and to increase the audience capacity of the game as a franchise, and we will continue looking at opportunities to create a sequel. That's a little confidential right now. I can't say anything at this current stage, but if you carry on reading PSi2, then I'm sure you'll find out.
Kessen, meaning strategic battle, takes you into the midst of an epic power struggle for the control of Japan, which will leave you completely and utterly in awe of a time in history that is both extremely brutal and honourable. You are Ieyasu, one of the country's most feared and respected warlords, and commander of the Tokugawa shogunate, coming fresh out of the eastern provinces of Japan. Your aim is to defeat the tyrannical Toyotomi family and his 100,000-strong army of loyalists. The future of Japan rests in your hands. You command a number of generals. Under each general's command are a number of highly trained soldiers, ready to use their expertise in a number of specialized areas and maneuvers. Also at your disposal are infantry, archers, riflemen, and the cannonade. And if that wasn't enough, then you can always rely on the cavalry to storm into battle, severing several heads and limbs. Kessen is made all the more glorious by truly breathtaking graphics and cinematic camera angles. But what makes this title really stand out is the way you feel in control of what is happening. It's just like watching a movie where you get to decide what happens next. If Kessen were a film, it would be an epic like Gladiator. There's also a complex web of underlying plots throughout the campaign that constantly twist and turn until they drive you to the point of insanity trying to keep up with them. In summary, Kessen boasts a superb storyline and absorbing gameplay, and probably the best atmosphere in any game ever. So what's new in round 2? Well, a number of new characters, most noticeably Michael Jackson and basketball player Shaquille O'Neal. But you'll have to prove yourself in the ring before you can unlock them. To start off with, you have 12 players to choose from. Most of the good old favourites are there, including my personal fave, Afro Thunder, as well as Butcher Brown, Big Willie Johnson, and the surgically enhanced Celine Strike and Lulu Valentine. If you manage to unlock the secret players, you'll also be introduced to Freaky Deaky, who believe it or not is a freak, GC Thunder, who alarmingly looks like a transvestite, and Wild Stubby Corley, the thigh-slapping cowboy. Each character has their own secret moves, which you discover by trying a combination of button presses on your DualShock controller. The game has loads of different modes to try. There's the good old arcade option for 1 or 2 players, where you can change your view to third person and you win your secret fighters. Scrap with all the other boxes and work your way to the top of the table. And there's an even better feature than the Rumble Flurry. There's the Flurry 2 and Flurry 3. As usual, once you've given out a good few hard knocks, you spell out the word Rumble, which when activated makes your gloves glow and you can unleash a series of quick punches on your opponent. Or you can spell out Rumble twice to access Flurry 2, which lets loose a series of stronger and faster punches. If you spell Rumble 3 times, you get Flurry 3, which is so strong that you can send your opponent flying into the audience with one single punch. Gotta be done. Between 3 to 8 players can take part in tournament mode. The CPU matches up each of you with an opponent, and then it's time to duke it out in knockout rounds to see who's the champion. Finally, there's Team Battle Mode for 1 or 2 players, with between 4 and 8 boxers on each team. The first one to eliminate the opposing player's team is the winner. Rumble characters are very detailed and are shaded and textured to give a great 3D feel to the game. And keep an eye out for the massive TV monitors around the arena which film the action. It's these great little details that make the game so interesting. In all, Ready to Rumble Round 2 is highly hilarious, has great graphics, cracking characters, and a satisfactory soundtrack. In fact, you could say it's champion.
3, 2, this ain't no game.
As one of the first DVD games to launch on PS2, you'd expect this one to be an extravaganza of epic proportions. And you'd be right. Summoner has stunning in-game graphics and cutscenes that showcase the much-touted capabilities of the PS2's hardware. The story centers initially on Joseph, a young man who has the power to summon demons and destroy empires. As one of the last remaining summoners, he must save his kingdom from imminent destruction by embarking on a quest for the Summoner's Rings. But only the strongest can control the forces they unleash, and Joseph has yet to come to terms with his great ability. You control a team of up to 5 characters, which you must guide through a vast, highly interactive 3D environment. Of more than 120 characters in the game, you can summon and control in combat up to 16 different creatures, including minotaurs, robot-like golems, and dragons. Summoning works when rings are found, and each has a specific property: darkness, flame, light, and so on. When used by themselves or combined, they have the power to summon a creature to Joseph's side. Part of the fun is trying out these combinations to see which beast is summoned. Travelling through some amazing locales, from vast dungeons to sprawling cities, you'll encounter many characters and monsters. The resulting battle sequences are a mixture of real-time and turn-based combat. When the enemy's been killed, you can pick up any gold or items that were dropped during battle and add them to your inventory. Summoner's levels are huge, and it isn't always easy to figure out where you're going, but the camera system really helps with cinematic views, including zooming, rotating and panning controls, which make you feel like you're in the thick of the action. In summary, this is a cracker of an RPG, and probably the best we've seen on PS2. According to IDOS, Lara's final outing on PS1 includes some revealing insights into her past. The original Tomb Raider was given a relatively low-key launch way back in 1996, and the rest is history. Now, Chronicles is her difficult 5th album, and finds her desperately in need of a new direction. Chronicles kicks off with some of the highest quality FMV you'll see on PS1. This basically explains that Lara Croft is missing somewhere in Egypt, presumed dead. Her nearest and dearest are gathered to say goodbye to her at the Croft estate, and a memorial has been erected in her memory. Of course, the buxom wench is alive and well in Egypt, battling against baddies for a living, so not a lot has changed. Quite literally. You do all the usual tomb raiding acrobatics we've come to expect: running, jumping, ducking, weaving and shooting. There are a few new welcome additions that enhance the overall gameplay. These include hand-to-hand combat, stealth actions, and a revamped inventory system, where you have to combine items to solve puzzles and create cool new items like grappling hooks. Unfortunately, the graphics are exactly the same as before, and very little has been added to improve this area. You get the feeling that Core has gone as far as it wants to with PS1. Tomb Raider Chronicles is Lara saying goodbye to the PS1, with a PS2 debut scheduled for 2001. To this issue of PSi2 is our PS2 Game Save download section. Each issue will be bringing you the coolest game saves for the latest PS2 games for you to download to your PS2 memory card. Once you've unlocked these babies, you'll be gaming like never before. Downloading the saves is simple. Firstly, make sure you have a memory card inserted into memory card slot 1 of your PS2. Then select the game save you want to download and hit the Download to Memory Card button. The status bar at the bottom of the screen will display progress of the download. When your save is fully downloaded, the message "Download Complete OK" will appear, and simply press X to confirm. Switch off your PS2 and insert the relevant game CD, then simply load in your new game save as you would normally from your memory card. What could be easier? In this issue, we bring you the coolest saves for the mighty Tekken Tag Tournament, Ridge Racer 5, and of course Time Splitters. Enjoy! Fed up with your mates constantly badgering you for a lift when they never offer one back? Let them watch you play Wild Wild Racing, and their smiles will soon turn to horrified scowls as you bounce off walls and perform handbrake turns. The truth quickly dawns on them that they're never getting in a car with you again. There are 4 different game modes to choose from: Quick Race, Championship, Time Attack and Challenge, plus 1 or 2 player split screen options. To begin with, you have the choice of 3 cars and 3 circuits. Quick Race, where you get to choose to race in India, Iceland or the USA, and the object of the race is purely to set new lap records. Or try your hand at Championship mode. New tracks are unlocked as you progress through the game and win each section. In Time Attack, you race solo against a predetermined record in one of 3 types of race: uphill, downhill or flat. And finally, Challenge mode, which allows you to race against the clock to win new cars, upgrade them or ultimately win trophies. There are so many hidden levels in Wild Wild Racing, it's like playing a brand new game every time. The graphics are superb with great attention to detail. The cars are nicely textured and convincing. You even get smoke coming out the back of your exhaust and mud flying behind, splattering your car. The vehicle sound effects are also good, with rev noises and backfires. This is a fantastic game. Don't worry if you're not brilliant at driving games, this one is easy to control and really fun to play.